Hi, this is Alex Kantrowitz. I'm the host of Big Technology Podcast, a longtime reporter and an on-air contributor to CNBC. And if you're like me, you're trying to figure out how artificial intelligence is changing the business world and our lives. So each week on Big Technology, I bring on key actors from companies building AI tech and outsiders trying to influence it, asking where this is all going. They come from places like NVIDIA, Microsoft, Amazon, and plenty more. So if you want to be smart with your wallet, your career choices, in meetings with your colleagues, and at dinner parties, listen to Big Technology Podcast wherever you get your podcasts.
More sail, cried the Sparrow.
You're listening to the Sailing into Oblivion podcast, where we sit down with everyday people who do extraordinary things. I'm your host, Jerome Rand. Okay, welcome. Oh, that was a day. After, if you listened to the previous podcast, I arrived down in West Palm Beach, 10:30-ish, finally got the lift back to the boat, got to the boat around midnight, decided I'm not going to sleep. There was a little bit of a tinge of Breckenridge bourbon whiskey in the voice for sure. And yeah, probably didn't get to bed until almost 2, probably more like 1:30 last night. But I had big dreams, big goals, big ambitions. I always do when I first get back on old Mighty Sparrow, and I'm kind of like, yeah, here we go. The sense of freedom is right there, waiting. And, all you got to do is untie a couple lines, and the world is your oyster. And that's kind of one of the things that I really love about the whole sailing thing. But the whole boat ownership thing, one of the absolute pros for sure. But wake up at about, 6:30 in the morning, 7 in the morning. It was so hot. It was so impossibly hot. And I was getting eaten alive by skeeters. So I had a fitful rest. Not very good at all. I was still camping out up in the forepeak, which... it's just not so easy anymore, and I have shifted to offshore mode already and moved the bunk back amidships, so I have my twin-size bed, my bunk, and my little reading lamp, and my nice little fan over my head. That way, I should be able to get a pretty good night's sleep. Tonight, it's just about 7 p.m. We had thunderstorms, and still a little bit rainy, but I just wanted to do a quick little check-in for the game plan, and we're still not 100%, but we're pretty close. We're going to get into what I did today to get the boat ready and basically be poised right on the edge of the cliff to jump off if everything seems to be good to go for that tomorrow. So before I start the show, if you want to help support the podcast, obviously you know what to do. Check the links in the description. Thank you all Patreon family supporters. Thank you so much for the individuals who get stuff off the wish list, do the one-time donations, or hook the almighty Sparrow up with Starlink. Thank you, Joseph. We will be uploading podcasts on the regular while we are out at sea. And, kind of updating the old Instagram and all that sort of stuff because we're back on the boat. And I can share the experience with everybody. But that is coming down to one person and one person only. So I really do appreciate the unhinged support, not only with the mics, but also with the Starlink. It's absolutely amazing. Hats off to you, Skip. Can't wait to get back out of the old Lake Michigan. Feel that unsalted watery spray. But if you want to reach out to the show or contact me possibly about doing any speaking stuff, we do have quite a few events this summer on the Cape and New Bedford Whaling Museum. As soon as the dates really come out and we start advertising, I will let everybody know. But sailingintooblivion.com to be able to get in touch or get a little information on some of the speaking stuff that I do. Cool. All right, done. So today, wake up and I'm like, ugh, I don't even want to, the sun. And, I had to have the big box fan in the 4P catch. So that thing was like loud. Oh, I wish they could make like a silent box fan. If anybody knows of one of those, your standard, whatever it is, 2 foot by 2 foot box fan, but it's quiet. Even if it's on like the lowest setting, all I need is a little bit of airflow. But I digress. I tunneled through, made it. I slept at least a few, 3, 4, 5 hours maybe. Definitely had some crazy dreams being back on the boat and everything. And then, boom, got up, tunneled down some seriously strong Nescafe, and just started getting after it. I had my list that I wrote up the night before, and yeah, it just was like, all right, let's go to town. So essentially on the task list before I could even consider going out to sea, one, I have to test the engine, check all the fluids, check all the everything, make sure transmission fluid, oil is good, coolant, she shifts into gear, everything is running really well with that. That is done. Didn't take too long because, I changed all the fuel filters and all the stuff in the oil last time I was here in preparation so that I could just come down here and basically grab the boat and go. But anytime you let a boat sit for more than a couple of weeks, it's just degrading the whole time, and things that you might have had sorted out definitely have a tendency to get thrown right back in your face, like getting slapped by a wet, cold trout, right on the old cheekbone, which is not very fun at all. But press the fire up button or the start button, the fire up button, and boom, she fired right up. She's purring like a kitten. Let her run for about an hour, and yeah, she no bogging down, no revving, no starvation of fuel or anything like that. So fingers crossed, knock on some wood. I think the engine is going to be good. And, again, the big source of the issue was the lift pump, the little tiny lever that goes into the engine that sits on the oval-shaped cylinder that basically makes the pump actually pump. That little arm was all wonky and crazy. So replacing that seems to have been the issue. We will get back on that. I do have an inline little 12-volt pump, little fuel pump that I'm going to throw into that line. I just need to get a couple of fittings before I leave tomorrow, but I have some time. It's not until a noon or between noon and 2 departure if it all goes off. But yeah, so we get the engine all sorted. That's looking good. It's running really well. Next up was checking the rig, which meant climbing up my little ladder stairs up the side of the mast and checking out every pin, every cotter pin, every ring ding. Well, there aren't any ring dings up there, but just inspecting, make sure everything's looking good. All the bolts, all the halyards, all the stays, everything did look just as I left it last. Yeah, not really too much to speak of. The view from up top. The only thing I had to actually adjust was on the Windex, which is the little wind indicator arrow on the very tippy top of the mast. It has these two, so it has the arrow, but then it has two little sort of tacking angle, if you will, little tiny posts that come aft, and you spread those out to sort of your approximate tanking angle, and there's little tiny reflective red squares on those. One of them had gone a little wonky, so I had to adjust that. But everything else looked pretty ship shape, pretty square, no screws undone. Everything definitely seems pretty bulletproof, and I was happy with the rig. I then proceeded to go around, check all the chain plates, check everything for any corrosion, rust, blah, 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 all that sort of stuff. Manageable amounts of all that. As I said, we were hoping to actually pull all the chain plates and all the anchor points for the whisker stays and the bob stay and all the stuff. Basically, anywhere where a wire then has to anchor to a big piece of stainless steel that is through bolted through the hull. Those all need to be pulled off. And I was going to do that when I was up at Night Marine this last fall, but obviously ran out of time and basically just had to go out and test everything in a gale within like weeks of departing. So that's one way to check and make sure everything is pretty strong. But and I don't recommend that at all. I'm absolutely going to be pulling these chain plates when I get up there this year, if not when I first get there, but once I get back. I'm hoping to have essentially the whole month of October in Maine to be able to do some serious projects, replace some of the shrouds that hold the mast up, pull all the chain plates, inspect, make sure there's nothing going on behind them, rebed all of them, and reconnect everything. But that's future project work, but it's definitely got to take place. So after the engine and after the rig, we needed to reattach the wave defender, the splash guard, if you will, that sits, and it's it's a custom mod. I'm not gonna lie. It's a nice little piece of marine ply that I cut and formed to a nice, perfect shear that sits butted up against my Traveler that essentially protects my Dodger more than anything. If I have a big crashing wave come over the bow and it runs the whole length of the boat, this kind of prevents that wave from basically just ripping out all the anchor points for my dainty little canvas Dodger that really is just best for stopping the spray and allowing me to hide behind it. So I got that reinstalled. That's all looking good. Then it was off to Mongo, and Mongo's control lines needed to be replaced. And I'm trying something new. Normally I use what's called jacketed line, just a New England stay set, typical line of multicolors, that sort of thing that you would find. And basically it has an inner core, which is the strength, and then it has an outer core, which protects it. Now, on a lot of boats these days, a lot of the lines have been replaced with Dyneema or Spectra, which basically this stuff is even stronger than steel. And the only problem is the stuff that I have is not jacketed, so it doesn't have the outer casing to be able to actually protect the inner casing part. But control lines for an Aries, because essentially the thing is just moving constantly and it's going, hitting these like right angles at these blocks and everything, they typically don't last very long anyway. I get maybe 1,000, 2,000 miles out of them before I have to start shifting them because the chafe is starting to take notice. And I didn't have any more of the jacketed line, and Sunday, I just didn't want to have to go like West Marine or something today. I just wanted to stay on the boat and work and do as much as I possibly could. So I did have some Dyneema. I switched those out with that. That'll actually be kind of an interesting thing. Obviously, Dyneema doesn't stretch at all, but I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how these control lines work with a stiffer line like that, and also, typically what you would think would be a little less a low friction line. I don't know if I'm just making that up, but I feel like because Dyneema is so smooth and I don't know. It's a smaller diameter, just a little bit, but we're going to see how that works. If it doesn't work at all, I don't know exactly what I'm going to do, but I will figure something out. We're just going to climb that mountain when we get to the foothills. But Mongo is pretty much sorted, although I do have to do a side note here. About a month and a half ago, I ordered the rebuild kit for all the bushings and all the bearings and all that sort of stuff with the Aries, and I have still yet to receive it. I have written 2 emails asking for any sort of tracking numbers. I had obviously the charge go onto my card for the purchase, and then also another charge for customs at DHL. And I haven't heard anything back from the company, and I got to say, I'm a little disappointed. I'm not going to lie. A little disappointed. I don't know what's going on. Maybe the person who's in charge of that company is out sailing or something. I don't really know. I don't want to throw them under the bus too much, but I have to say that, yeah, this kind of sucks to order something so far in advance, knowing that you need it and knowing that you're going to be sailing and not be able to. It's not so much that I haven't received it. It's just that I have no idea what's going on. And it's kind of a bummer. I was really hoping to have Mongo back up to like young, just virile status once again. Right now, after 70+ thousand miles, some of those bushings have worn a little thin, and the bearings could definitely, just these little weird little plastic roller bearings, but with a new set of bearings in there and all cleaned out, she'd probably work a little bit better, or he would probably work a little bit better. So neither here nor there. We're gonna make it happen, and I'm sure I'll curse it plenty of times when I'm out there at sea. Give you plenty of updates on that as we go, for sure. Propane system still working, no leaks, no smells. Everything seems to be good with that. So we've got enough propane for probably a month or two. So no worries on that. That system is still good. Then we headed off to the old pressure washer to get all the bird droppings and filth from the lovely yellow deck and clean everything up a little bit. Although I will say, moments ago, after taking a shower, I'm walking back to the boat and I see this big old, it looked like a cormorant or something. I don't know what it was. It wasn't an osprey, and it wasn't just some tiny little black bird or whatever, just sitting right atop Mighty Sparrow's mast. And normally, if you just walk up and you smack the forestay, the whole rig shudders a little bit, and the bird is just like, peace out, I'm gone. No way this bird was staying up there. Not only was he staying up there, he decided, as I was trying desperately to kind of knock him and get him off of my mast, he decided to drop some bombs. And I was like, yeah. And I grabbed the halyard and I loosened it and was like, oh, jostled that around, and that finally got rid of him. But man, oh man, I just pressure washed the deck, and now it's got some lovely foul, stinky spots up forward. So whatever, you know what? It's raining right now, so it's probably already been rinsed pure and clean. And if not, the ocean will do its job for sure. Oh, little adjustment. There we go. Okay. Then we moved on to the tech side of things. Obviously, we've got the old Starlink back up and running. Thank you again, Capitan. That's awesome. We're going to stay connected with that. We're not going to be getting minutes for the Iridium Go because it costs like $650 and they're going to expire. And I'm just going to basically put my trust in the one system. Or no, not the one system. When I say that, the main priority with Starlink is to be able to download the weather. That is its number one apex goal. And number two is to stay connected and social media and all that sort of stuff. 3 would be, well, no, I guess it's basically, those are the 3 tiers: weather, communications, so comms, and then, then the social media stuff. Be able to post on Instagram, be able to put the podcast out, that sort of stuff in such order. Now, obviously with weather backup system, I got my eyeballs so I can look at the sky, and I got skin so I can feel the wind, and I also have a barometer which will tell me, the approach of a low or anything like that. As far as comms go, I guess we are kind of out on a limb with this one. I don't like to just trust in one system, but again, we're just doing the rip out into the Atlantic and back. It should be fairly uneventful. I mean, I know I'm going to get my butt kicked at least.
Hi, this is Alex Kantrowitz. I'm the host of Big Technology Podcast, a longtime reporter and an on-air contributor to CNBC. And if you're like me, you're trying to figure out how artificial intelligence is changing the business world and our lives. So each week on Big Technology, I bring on key actors from companies building AI tech and outsiders trying to influence it, asking where this is all going. They come from places like NVIDIA, Microsoft, Amazon, and plenty more. So if you want to be smart with your wallet, your career choices, in meetings with your colleagues, and at dinner parties, listen to Big Technology Podcast wherever you get your podcasts.
The sun's shining, birds are singing, and all feels right in the world.
Until the season changes, and suddenly you lose your motivation to get out of bed. In fact, 1 in 5 people experience some form of depression, no matter the season or time of year.
At the American Psychiatric Association Foundation, our vision is to build a mentally healthy nation for all, because we want you to live your best life and be your best you all year round.
Please visit mentallyhealthynation.org to learn more.
Once or twice while I'm out there, but nothing too sassy, if you will, in the forecast. So I'm feeling pretty good about it. And yeah, I don't know. There is like a point where, yeah, you could drop $650 to get minutes for the Iridium Go, and then you could drop another, I don't know how much, to get minutes for the actual sat phone. And so you got all this backup after backup after backup. But there is a point where it's just like, dude, I just don't have that kind of money. I just can't shovel money into this sort of stuff. Because we invested quite a bit into the safety stuff. We replaced the battery in the ePerb back up in Maine. We got a new grab bag that, all the zippers and stuff work, and it's not embedded with mold. We've got the new flare kit. We've got the new first aid kit. A lot of stuff that we're trying to, keep up on. And, you look at the spreadsheet at the end of it and you're just like, geez Louise. But it is safety. So it's definitely worth every penny, because you don't want to get caught out there without it. Trust me, you definitely don't want that to happen. I did splurge a little bit, not too much, because I think it was only $50. Man, projectors, these mini projectors that they make are so inexpensive now. It is absolutely crazy. And the last one that I bought, I don't know, almost like 7 years ago. It's just that the lens is so cruddy and messed up that it doesn't put out a very good picture when I'm trying to have my movie night in a calm, perfect evening out on the mainsail deep in the ocean. I like to watch Captain Ron. I like to watch The Perfect Storm. I like to watch Joe V. the Volcano, and amongst other things, I suppose. But it's, yeah. So I popped about $50 into a new one, tested it out. It works great. Oh, man. And I've got my little mount stick for it. Because I have the little Jackery power pack, I can plug that in without having to run the engine to be able to have the projector on and stuff. But boy, I am looking forward to, and hopefully get the conditions for, a nice movie night or two while I'm out there. I got popcorn and everything ready. Yeah, so that's pretty much the tech side of things. We got everything sorted there. And then it was on to looking through the sales. Those were all pretty much good. Didn't really have to do much there. Let's see, what else did we do today? The one thing that we did but didn't have to do, if that makes any sense, was the bottom of the boat is now sparkling clean, so we can go for some 150-mile days if we want to push the boat really hard. I actually paid to have that done. Smooth sailing boat bottoms down here if you're in the Fort Pierce, Vero, probably all the way down to Port St. Lucie Inlet, maybe even further. But Brandon does a fantastic job, very thorough, and not very expensive. It was awesome. And just to get that done, I was thinking about trying to do it myself, but I think part of me was like, you only got a couple hours of sleep. You need to get some sleep tonight, and you got all these other things you got to do. So maybe just outsource this one time. You're 47 years old. Come on, bud. Let's just do this. So that allowed me to take possession of all the provisions. I only need 2 or 3 little things that I'm going to run off to the hardware store tomorrow to get, and then we are fully stocked up. We've got the meats, we got the eggs, we got the bacon, the cheese, we got the wraps, the lettuce, we got the green powder drink stuff. We've got a couple of ice cold beers, and we got a lot of LaCroix, which is pretty cool. I normally don't have those on the boat. And yeah, so a lot of crackers, all that sort of stuff. And we're looking pretty good. That's all stowed. The refrigeration system seems to be working just great. It's going to be working pretty hard tonight because it's got to cool down a whole lot of stuff down there. But I think we're looking good as far as, if we're out there for a total of 2 weeks. We're not going to have any food left when we get back, but except for, the long life stash that is always aboard the Mighty Sparrow. I could set sail and stay out there for 4 months easily, getting 2,000 calories every single day. It's just the pleasure of eating that stuff. Yeah, I'm going to give that a 1 out of a 10. It just is not. It's not delicious. It's edible. I don't think it's very good for you, but it's got the calories. I'm not going to be like emaciated like I was pulling in towards the Falkland Islands. That's for sure. Yeah, and then it was a lot of just little tiny, little adjustments, checking over, systems checks, bilge pumps working, water tanks are all filled up, fully filtered, like triple filtered, which is awesome. What else did we do? We did a systems check on the VHF AIS and the chart plotter, which I don't ever use. Obviously, we've got our charts. We've got our logbook. Those don't need checking, which is kind of the beauty of the old school method, everybody. You don't really need to check it besides just looking at it and knowing that you have it, which simplicity is the greatest thing. All the plumbing is working. The freshwater system is working. And we're looking and feeling pretty darn good. I think the last thing I'll do tonight is, once it does get dark, is just check all the nav lights and all that sort of stuff. Make sure I've got my deck running lights. Make sure I've got my tricolor and also my spreader lights. Make sure everything is working there. And for lack of a better word, I think we're pretty much good to go. Now, the only thing we have to think of at this point is the weather. Because like I said before, it's still can get a little sassy out there. We do have some interesting patterns coming up. But for the extended forecast, which is out 15 days from now, there's nothing crazy short of a bit of a 25 to 30 knot northeasterly blow that is going to push all the way down into the Bahamas. But again, that's 15 days out, so I'm not really too worried about it. Tomorrow, for departure out of here, one of the tricky situations, and I'm sure a lot of the listeners who own vessels out there will agree quietly with me, but embarking out into the Atlantic for, a 2-week trip, that's pretty comfortable for me. I worry more about getting successfully out of this slip if the wind is blowing out of a certain direction, or being sort of locked into place and being like, dude, I can't get out of here. There's just no way. I'm not in a super tricky spot, but I'm in kind of a tricky spot if the wind is blowing out of the south, which is going to be tomorrow. Now, luckily, the forecast is showing a pretty big lull right about the time that I will be trying to get out of here, which is around like 1 p.m. And if that comes to fruition, or just the winds, because today the winds were blowing pretty hard out of the south, and without the help of some serious line handlers, it would have been very, very difficult to get out of this spot without banging into the bows of some of these vessels around me, which I definitely don't want to do. But yeah, I mean, we're kind of looking at, if we're able to take off tomorrow, right around midday, we're looking at basically throughout the night going from reaching to broad reaching to running to reaching again. So we're going to have that, the wind is going from the south all the way to the north, 180 degree shift throughout the night and into the day. And then we're going to have a nice 20 knot northerly. We'll be well past the Gulf Stream by that point. And then the winds go out of the northeast, which I haven't quite figured out what the game plan is with that, because obviously the Gulf Stream strips me up north quite a bit, so that gives me some wiggle room between myself and the Grand Bahama Bank, if that's what it's called. I think it is, yeah. And the most northerly bank of the Bahamas. Or if I just tack and, head almost due north into a little bit lighter conditions away from where it's stronger, that'd last for a day or two, and then the winds lighten up and come due out of the north, and then I can just reach due east until we hit a little bit of a lull, kind of work our way through that, and then we get westerlies, which at that point I would head towards Bermuda for about a day or two, and then we're going to get some serious light winds, so we got to basically work with whatever we have. That should be pretty fun. I always like those super calm conditions in the Bermuda High, and then the winds fill back in around the 26th, 27th, and then we get that bit of a system coming down where it's going to blow pretty hard, but that might be exactly what we need to cut through the Bahamas and get right back to Florida to rest up before we move forward and northward to start our venture back to the great north, and end destination being Night Marine Service, the biggest little boatyard in Maine, best little boatyard in Maine, sorry, and haul out for the worst of the hurricane season. I can't even believe I'm even saying the hurricane season is coming out. I mean, it's still March, but stuff just creeps up on you. It's absolutely crazy. So that, in a nutshell, was the day. And like I said, 12 hours later, I am pretty darn tired. I've already been in the bunk reading the last, I have like 1/5 of a Clive Cussler novel that I started last time I was out sailing. So I've already kickstarted my jaunt back into that, which is very, very wonderful. I love the low-level dopamine input of a book compared to like watching like a YouTube video. It's pretty amazing. Trying to document a few things, but haven't quite got the enthusiasm yet back in that, but I will try my best to put together some clips and document everything that's going on moving forward into the future. So at this point, we're just charging all the battery powered devices, getting ready so that tomorrow morning when I get up and I have my lovely, lovely coffee in the morning, I can check the weather, give it a go or no go. And if it looks like a go, I'll go out, run my little errands, get everything in here so that by noon I am sitting pretty, unplugged, ready to untie when I feel just like it. The tide is going to be going out through the cut, through the inlet here at Fort Pierce by, I think, around anywhere between maybe 11:30 and like 3:30, we're good to go. We'll be riding that sucker straight out. We're not bucking the tide. We don't have to. Wind's out of the south, so we're not going to have too much of an issue as far as wave action. And hopefully, by mid-afternoon tomorrow, hopefully we won't be like bogged down underneath some major thunderstorms to get free of these pop-up storms. But ideally, we will be just plowing east and headed to the Gulf Stream so that we can enjoy maybe some lovely stars and some warm condition where all I need is a pair of board shorts and some good tunes and the sails filled with wind. And I'm back out on the ocean for another little adventure. So that's my update. Hopefully you enjoy it. We're going to just keep pumping these out every other day or so as we go. Like I said, we got the Starlink this time, so it should be pretty fun to be able to keep everybody in real time right along, coming aboard the old mighty Sparrow, just like you're a crew member. Woohoo! Super fun. So yeah, thanks for listening. Thanks for the support. And, till tomorrow, probably.
Hi, this is Alex Kantrowitz. I'm the host of Big Technology Podcast, a longtime reporter and an on-air contributor to CNBC. And if you're like me, you're trying to figure out how artificial intelligence is changing the business world and our lives. So each week on Big Technology, I bring on key actors from companies building AI tech and outsiders trying to influence it, asking where this is all going. They come from places like NVIDIA, Microsoft, Amazon, and plenty more. So if you want to be smart with your wallet, your career choices, in meetings with your colleagues, and at dinner parties, listen to Big Technology Podcast wherever you get your podcasts.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.